Hi, I'm Paige.
And I'm Christian, and I'm super excited about our big idea. People of all nations are part of God's kingdom.
So, Christian, why are you so excited specifically about this big idea?
Well, I just think it's so cool that no matter where we come from or how we grow up, we can worship God in our own unique way.
Yeah, and we're all included. So now let's check out the God story and see what that's all about.
What never eats at Christmas dinner? The turkey. It's stuffed. Hello everyone, Duann here. I was a part of a very super cool event where we brought together churches from all over the city from different cultural backgrounds to have a worship service. We all knew the songs that were sung, but we knew them in our own language. So it was so cool is that we'd come together and we'd sing the song together on the same melody, but in our own language. And it was such a beautiful experience. And that reminds me of our big idea. People of all nations are a part of God's kingdom. Don't you love that? That God's kingdom is not just made up of one language or one people group, but many nations, many cultures, many languages. We are all part of God's kingdom. And that comes up in today's God story. But first, let's look and see where we are in the big story. We've been talking about Daniel and how he's been faithful and how God has been using him during this tough time with the Israelites, and how God has blessed him with the ability to interpret dreams and visions. But God has also given him visions and dreams about kings. So today we're going to take a look at a crazy dream that he had. Let's read from Daniel 7. Daniel said, I had a vision at night. I looked up and saw the 4 winds of heaven. They were stirring up the Mediterranean Sea. 4 large animals came up out of the sea. Each one was different from the others. The first animal was like a lion. It had the wings of an eagle. I watched until its wings were torn off. Then it was lifted up from the ground. It stood on 2 feet like a human being, and the mind of a human being was given to it. I saw a second animal. It looked like a bear. It was raised up on one of its sides, and it had 3 ribs between its teeth. It was told, get up, eat meat until you are full. After that, I saw another animal. It looked like a leopard. On its back were 4 wings, like the wings of a bird. The animal I saw had 4 heads, and it was given authority to rule. After that, in my vision, I looked up and saw a 4th animal. It was terrifying and very powerful. It had large iron teeth. It crushed those it attacked and ate them up. It stomped on anything that was left. It was different from the other animals, and it had 10 horns. I thought about the horns. Then I saw another horn. It was a little one. It grew up among the other horns. 3 of the first horns were pulled up by their roots to make room for it. The little horn had eyes, like the eyes of a human being. Its mouth was always bragging. As I watched, thrones were set in place. The eternal God took his seat. His clothes were white as snow. The hair on his head was white like wool. His throne was blazing with fire, and flames were all around its wheels. A river of fire was flowing. It was coming out from in front of God. Thousands and thousands of angels served him. Millions of them stood in front of him. The court was seated, and the books were opened. Then I continued to watch because of the way the horn was bragging. I kept looking until the 4th animal was killed. I watched until its body was destroyed. It was thrown into the blazing fire. The authority of the other animals had been stripped away from them, but they were allowed to live for a period of time. I warned you, it's a crazy dream, right? But are you still with me? Just watch, something really cool happens right here. Check this out. In my vision, I saw one who looked like a son of man. He was coming with the clouds of heaven. He approached the eternal God. He was led right up to him, and he was given authority, glory, and a kingdom. People of all nations, no matter what language they spoke, worshiped him. His authority will last forever. It will not pass away. His kingdom will never be destroyed. This was a few hundred years before Jesus was born on earth, But this vision is pointing towards Jesus. He was given the authority, the glory, and the kingdom, and people of all nations, no matter what language they spoke, worshiped him. That's Jesus. So back to Daniel. Daniel's had this vision with these 4 crazy beasts, and he wants to know, what does that mean? So the angel told him that the 4 beasts represents 4 kingdoms that'd be ruling on earth. And the 4th beast would be a particularly bad kingdom. But then Jesus will come and take control, and God's kingdom will last forever. Okay, so weird dream, right? But it was so cool how it pointed to Jesus and how it shows God's heart for his kingdom, and how in God's kingdom, Jesus has all authority in heaven and on earth. And as it was said to Daniel, people of all nations, no matter what language they speak, will worship Jesus. So this week, this month, we can be reminded that God's kingdom is made up of people from all over the world who speak different languages, from different cultures, and we all worship Jesus. We can enjoy and celebrate the diversity of God's kingdom. And that brings us to our big idea that people of all nations are a part of God's kingdom. I'm Duann, looking forward to seeing you for another one.
Turn to the person next to you and answer the following questions. All right.
Question time! The king really liked Daniel, but the other 2 rulers were jealous of him. What did they do to get Daniel into trouble? Even though Daniel knew what would happen, he continued to pray. What happened to him when the rulers found out? Daniel was thrown into the lion's den. What happened next?
Game time! Mad Lab! How many times can you say the key verse before things get gooey? Say it with me. And he was given authority, glory, and a kingdom. People of all nations, no matter what language they spoke, worshipped him. Daniel 7, verse 14. Get ready! 3, 2, 1, go!
Wow, that scripture was powerful, and he was given authority, glory, and a kingdom. People of all nations, no matter what language they spoke, worshipped him.
And that means that through Jesus, we are connected all over the world.
I know I said I was excited about the big idea, but just wait until you see this next video. That excites me even more. Watch this.
So when you look up the word diversity, you'll see that it means a bunch of different stuff coming together or a range of stuff. And I know what diversity means for me in my life. I live it every day, and I know that it's something challenging and can be painful, but it's also something really amazing. So growing up as a kid, I grew up in a town that wasn't very diverse, and so I was faced with people who had ideas or thoughts about how I should act or who I was just because of how I looked. So this made me feel really confused on who I was. I felt like I had to pick being black or being white when I didn't feel like I was just one or the other, when I felt like I was both. My name is Charissa, and I was born here in Canada, and Canada is my home, and I love this place. So I'm biracial, which means that I have parents from two different races. My mom is from Germany, and my dad is from Jamaica. And they're people who I love so much. These two cultures are so special because on my German side, my Omi, I'd always look forward to her making goulash or food that came from Germany, like schnitzel, that she loved to make, and she would bring this into our family and stuff that I could enjoy. And then on my Jamaican side, we'd always have oxtail or roti and rice and peas, stuff that I could only get when I was there with my family.
That looks fantastic. Wow.
Butter chicken.
So we're quite a diverse family. My dad is from Jamaica, my mom is from Germany. My brother, he learned to speak Mandarin and went to go live in China for a few years, living in Beijing and Shanghai. My sister went ahead and learned Japanese, and she lived in Japan, living in Tokyo and Sapporo. And my brother recently married his wife, Georgina, who's from India and who also speaks many languages. So when my family is together, one thing we like to do is always eat. We just get together, we eat, we hang out, we eat. It's always around a table. We always have to have food with, no matter what we do.
Anyone else need to smoke?
Especially being Canadian, because I find for me, it's something that I can celebrate all these different parts of who I am. Being Canadian isn't something that puts a wall up. I find it's something that tears walls down, and I can celebrate all these different parts of who I am. And when I'm in Canada, all the different places I can go, my culture, my background isn't hidden in margins, but it's right at the front for other people to enjoy as well.
We need some Chinese.
You have a yearning for perfection.
Someone you want to see is just around the corner. Hey, that's Christmas. You'll be especially creative this week.
That makes a lot of sense. A group of people is missing you.
So I went on a mission trip to Zambia, and while I was there, I had this moment when I realized that God is actually everywhere, that he's not just black or white or even just Canadian, he is in every single nation. And I was in this place that was so different from my understanding, and yet there God was on the other side of the world, and he is still active and he's still loving people. From my parents, I learned about Jesus and saw how much they loved him, and that the color of our skin is not everything, and it's not what's most important. And we have Christ, and when we identify with him, everything else comes second. Where we're from and our skin color is only second to the love that we have with Jesus and our connection.
Danke für die Einladung.
ブラニキでधन्यवाद.
谢谢妹妹。
お招きいただいてありがとうございます。
Thanks, man.
When my family and I get together and we all come together at one table and we sit down, it makes me think about what Jesus did, that he invited everyone to his table. No matter their background or where they came from or who they were, there's always a spot at Jesus' table.
I loved Charissa's story, and I love her dad. He looks like such a sport.
Yeah, they're all amazing, and it's super cool that one family can represent so many different cultures from all around the world.
Yeah, well, thanks Carissa and family for letting us have a peek into your lives. And I think I'll have to find a way to get invited to a family dinner. That food looked delicious.
So good. Well, it's time to break into our small groups, so let's see how this will look in our own stories.